Imagine being married to someone you barely know. No dating, no long conversations, no love story. Now imagine this. One night, without warning, a man appears outside your house, with shouting, with music, with fire lighting the darkness. And suddenly, your entire life changes forever. This was not a dream. This was a wedding, in the time of Jesus Christ. No white gowns, no wedding rings, no I love you speeches. Just contracts, pressure, and survival. And yet, hidden inside these ancient traditions is one of the most powerful stories ever told. A story that explains a scandal involving Mary, a silent struggle faced by Joseph, and a wedding where water turned into wine. This is not just history. This is a world you were never meant to forget. Before we step deeper into this world, take a moment to subscribe. Because videos like this don't just tell stories, they bring forgotten history back to life. And trust me, what you're about to see, most people have never truly understood. To understand their weddings, you must first understand their world. This was 1st century Judea, a land under Roman rule, where taxes were heavy, food was limited, and survival was never guaranteed. There were no safety nets, no banks, no insurance. If a woman lost her husband, she could lose everything: food, shelter, protection. And so, marriage was not about happiness. It was about security. It was a system designed to answer one question: will this union help us survive? In this world, you did not choose who you married. Your parents did. Fathers would meet, not to discuss love, but to discuss terms: land, resources, reputation, survival. The girl, often between 12 and 14 years old, had little say. The boy, chosen not for romance, but for his potential to provide. Marriage was an alliance between families, not individuals. Love was expected to come later. But before any marriage could begin, a price had to be paid. This was called the mohar. The groom paid this to the bride's family, not to buy her, but to prove something: that he could provide, that he was serious, that he was capable of building a household, and also to honor the family, because raising a daughter in that world was an investment of survival. But the mohar had another purpose. If the husband failed, if he abandoned her or died, that payment became her lifeline, a guarantee that she would not be left helpless. In a harsh world, this was protection. Then came something even more powerful: the ketubah, a written contract. In a time without modern law, this document gave the woman rights. It clearly stated the husband must provide food, he must provide shelter, he must preserve her dignity. If he failed, he could be held accountable. This was not romance. This was structure. This was order. This was survival, written in ink. And then, something unexpected happened. Once the agreement was sealed, they were considered legally married. This stage was called betrothal. But here's the strange part: they did not live together. They did not sleep together. They barely knew each other. Yet by law, they were husband and wife. After the betrothal, the bride returned to her father's house. And she waited. Days passed, weeks passed, sometimes even months. She did not know when her husband would come. Every day, she prepared herself. She bathed regularly, applied perfumed oils, carefully arranged her hair, not for beauty, but for readiness. Because at any moment, without warning, he could arrive. At night, her lamp had to stay ready, her garments prepared, her life on pause. But then, one night, everything changes. In a world where honor meant everything, one mistake could destroy an entire family. And it was in such a world that a quiet young woman named Mary was found to be pregnant. But there was a problem. She was already betrothed, legally bound to a man named Joseph. And yet, they had not come together. In that moment, there were no explanations that made sense. To the community, this meant one thing: betrayal.
A scandal like this could bring shame, not just on her, but on her entire family. In some cases, it could lead to rejection, abandonment, or worse. Joseph, described as a just man, stood at the center of a storm. By law, he had the right to expose her, to make an example of her. But instead, he chose something unexpected: mercy. He decided to quietly end the marriage. Because even in betrothal, this required a legal divorce. But then, in the silence of the night, everything changed. What seemed like disgrace would become divine purpose. Somewhere else, in another home, a different story was unfolding. After months of waiting, the moment had come. Voices echoed through the night. Feet rushed across narrow streets. The groom had arrived. He did not come quietly. He came with friends, with singing, with clapping, with fire lighting the darkness.
The entire village knew. The wedding had begun. The bride awakened. No time to prepare, no time to hesitate. She grabbed her lamp, adjusted her garments, and stepped outside, into a moment that would define the rest of her life. The procession led to a simple structure, a canopy, known as the chuppah. It was not grand, not decorated like modern weddings, but it carried deep meaning. It symbolized a new home, a new beginning. Here, blessings were spoken, words of covenant, words of unity, and with that, two lives became one. And then, the celebration began. Not for hours, not for a single evening, but for days, sometimes 7 days. Food was shared, stories were told, music filled the air. But behind the celebration was pressure. The groom carried the responsibility. He had to provide enough food, enough wine, enough hospitality for everyone. Because if he failed, if the wine ran out, it meant something deeper. It meant he was not capable, not ready, not worthy. His honor could be destroyed in a moment. And it was at a wedding like this, in a small village called Cana, that something unforgettable happened. The wine ran out. Panic spread quietly. Shame approached quickly. The groom's reputation hung by a thread. Then, a man stepped forward, calm, silent, observing. Water jars were filled. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. And yet, something impossible happened. Water became wine. Not just any wine, but the finest wine. In that moment, shame was replaced with honor. Lack became abundance. And a simple wedding became the stage for divine power. If you're still watching this, it means you're seeing history in a way most people never do. Take a second to subscribe, because videos like this bring hidden truths to light, and there's so much more to uncover. But these weddings were never just about people. They pointed to something greater. The groom represents Christ. The bride represents his people. And just like the ancient bride, the world waits, watching, preparing, not knowing the hour when he will return. In a world built on survival, marriage became a system of protection. But hidden within it was a message of something eternal, a promise, a return, a future celebration greater than any feast before it. Before you leave, what part of this story stayed with you the most? Share it in the comments below.